Lillian stood in front of her bedroom mirror, turning sideways to examine her shape. As she stared at her reflection, she shook her head in dissatisfaction. "This isn't enough," she muttered. "It's good, but it could be better." Every swipe on social media only made her feelings worse. There were countless pictures of other women with wider hips and large buttocks, looking confident, glamorous, and happy, and she admired them. It was a Friday night, and Lillian sat in a corner of a cozy bar with her friends, Nkechi and Boma. The faint hum of music and the chatter of other people created a lively background, but her focus remained on the conversation at their table. "Girl, if I hear one more word about your butt, I'll scream," Nkechi said, rolling her eyes as she sipped her cocktail. "You're gorgeous, girl. Let it go." "Exactly," Boma chimed in, leaning forward. "You think your body isn't good enough because your backside isn't what? The size of a sofa?" Nkechi nearly choked on her drink as she burst out laughing. "Boma, you're wicked," she said, between laughter. Lillian sat cross-legged on her chair, her arms folded and her expression serious. "I'm not joking," she said. "I want people to stop and stare when I walk past. Okay? Like, I want all the attention." "And then what?" Boma said. "They all clap?" "Lillian, you have a great body. What more do you want?" "I want perfection, Boma. I want perfection. This is Nigeria, and here, beauty is curves. And I don't have enough of them." Nkechi leaned forward, her tone softer. "But you're already beautiful. You don't need to change anything. Why can't you just see what we see?" Lillian sighed. Later that week, Lillian and Donald, her boyfriend, sat on the couch in his apartment, a movie playing in the background. He was dressed casually in a t-shirt and joggers, his arms holding her lazily on her shoulders. Turning to her with a warm smile, he said, "You've been quiet tonight. Something on your mind?" Lillian shook her head but didn't look at him. It's nothing, I'm fine." Donald reached over to hold her hand. "Come on, I know when something is bothering you. Talk to me." She hesitated, then asked, "Do you think I'm beautiful?" Donald blinked and laughed loudly for a while, surprised by the question. "What's wrong with you? Who have you been speaking with? What's all this? Clearly, you're beautiful." "Then why haven't you proposed?" Lillian blurted out, finally looking at him. "It's been 3 years, Dawn. What are you waiting for?" He let out a small laugh, though his face showed he was caught off guard. "Lillian, marriage isn't something you rush into. I want us to be ready emotionally, financially. It has nothing to do with your look." "But it is," she said, pulling her hand away. If I were perfect, you would have proposed by now." Lillian turned away, staring out at the window. "You're just saying that to make me feel better." The more Lillian thought about it, the more convinced she became that she needed to make a change. She spent hours researching cosmetic procedures, her mind racing with possibilities. The only problem was the cost. It was far more than she could afford on her salary as a personal assistant. One evening, as Donald dropped her off at her home, she decided to act. "Don, I need your help," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "What is it?" he asked, concern written all over his face. "It's my mom," she said, her eyes welling up with fake tears. "She's very sick and the hospital bills are more than we can handle." "Oh no," Donald said, reaching for her hand. "How long has this been, and why haven't you said anything until now?" "Well, I did not want to bother you. I thought I could handle it on my own, but it's way beyond me right now." Without hesitation, Donald pulled out his phone and transferred the money. "Don't worry," he said. "I've got you. She'll be fine." Lillian thanked him happily, her heart heavy with guilt, but as she climbed the stairs to her apartment, she told herself it would all be worth it. This was for both of them. She was sure of it. 2 weeks after, Lillian returned to work with a new figure. Her backside was dramatically larger and her hips curved in a way that made her look like she had stepped out of a music video. Heads turned as she walked through the office, whispers following her every move. Lillian pretended not to notice the attention, though inside, she felt like a superstar. When she met up with her friends that weekend, their reactions were priceless. "Lillian!" Nkechi exclaimed, staring at her in disbelief. "What happened to you? In just 2 weeks?" "Nothing," Lillian said casually. "I've just been eating well and resting." Boma added, shaking her head. "You mean eating made this happen?" Come on, girl, spill the beans. Did you pray for this or pay for it? Lillian laughed but refused to explain further. She didn't want anyone to know the lengths she had gone to achieve her new look. At first, everything seemed perfect. Lillian's confidence was at an all-time high, and she loved the compliments and attention. But soon, she began feeling unwell. It started with a mild fever, which she brushed off as nothing serious. Then came the fatigue, followed by unexplained weight loss. Donald noticed the change immediately. "Are you okay?" he asked one evening as they sat together in her house. "I'm fine," she said, forcing a smile. "Just tired and stressed from work." "You've been looking tired a lot lately, but not as if you're doing something different from what you've always done," he said, his worry evident. "Maybe you should see a doctor." "I don't need a doctor. I got a job over the counter yesterday and the nurse told me it was just malaria and that I'll be fine in no time." But as weeks went by, her condition worsened. Her friends grew concerned too. "Lillian, you're shrinking," Nkechi said during one of their hangouts. "What's going on?" "I'm not shrinking," Lillian replied, though even she could see that her clothes were starting to hang loosely on her frame. One afternoon, Lillian collapsed at work. Her boss, visibly shaken, insisted she go to the hospital immediately. Donald rushed to meet her there. As the doctor examined her, he asked, "Have you had any surgeries or medical procedures recently?" "No," Lillian said quickly, glancing at Donald. The doctor raised an eyebrow, but didn't push further. Later, when Donald stepped out to make a call, Lillian confessed. "Doctor," she whispered, "I had a cosmetic surgery a few months ago, but the doctor said my illness had nothing to do with the surgery." The doctor sighed, his expression serious. "Lillian, this is important. The symptoms you're experiencing could be related to the procedure." Further tests revealed that the materials used in her surgery were not properly sterilized, leading to an infection that was causing her weight loss and fever. The doctor recommended immediate corrective surgery to remove the implants and treat the infection. The corrective surgery was successful, but it came at a cost. The doctor had to remove most of the tissue around her buttocks to prevent further complications, leaving her with a flatter backside than she had before. When Amara saw herself in the mirror after the surgery, she broke down in tears. Her backside was now smaller than it had been originally, a far cry from the figure she had once envied. But that was not all she had to bear. Donald was angry. His disappointment was clear when he came visiting. "Why didn't you tell me the truth?" he asked, his voice filled with hurt. "About the surgery, about the money, about everything. How could you lie just to risk your life for something so unnecessary? How vain can you be?" "I was scared," Lillian said. "I just wanted to be good enough for you." "You were always good enough," he said. "But now I don't even know. I can't even trust you." Lillian's friends hugged her, refusing to let her sink into despair. "At least you've learned your lesson," Nkechi said. "At least you're alive. That's better than any other thing." "I know that now," Lillian said, wiping away a tear. "But it's too late. I've ruined my life." "No, it's never too late," Boma said. "You are alive and you can still get more beautiful than this. That's what matters." With their support, Lillian began to rebuild her life. She sought therapy to deal with her insecurities and slowly started to accept herself for who she was. Weeks later, as Lillian sat by her window, a familiar car pulled into her driveway. Her heart raced as she looked and saw Donald stepping out of his car. Unsure of what to expect, whatever this visit held, Lillian felt it might be the start of something good.